Welcome back, Pokemon trainers, to the ft.chesnutkc channel. I am Joseph, and we are going to be watching ft.chesnutkc's playthrough of the Johto journeys. We watched her before in the Kanto playthrough, and I have permission from her to make these reaction videos to her playthroughs. So let's go ahead and get into this. Totodile, take us to the video.
Fun fact about Pokemon Gold, my first copy was given to me by my friend when I was in second grade, I think. This was my very first Pokemon game and I absolutely loved it. I've played this game, if not hundreds, then thousands of times. It was the only Pokemon game I even owned until I was in high school, and even to this day I consider Johto my hometown of Pokemon. My baby. I know there's things wrong with the second gen, and a lot of very valid reasons why a lot of people don't like Johto games. But I will forever be blinded by nostalgia, and that's okay. I even got to the point where I had played this game so much I killed the battery in the cartridge.
Oh, that sucks. I've done that to a few of my games, and I unfortunately do not know how to replace the batteries. If anybody knows how, let me know. I'd appreciate it.
I was so devastated that I looked up how to manually open the back of the game, pull the battery out, and tape down a new one so the game could be played again.
Never mind. I should just look it up. I'm good. But if you guys still want to comment, let me know. Greatly appreciate it.
That's how desperate I was to keep my one and only Pokemon game alive and kicking. Like an owner that's too attached to their ancient 17-year-old dog to do the humane thing and put it down. Anyway, naturally, part 2 of my Pokemon adventure would be taking place within the Pokemon Gold universe. My Pokemon mom and I picked up and moved to New Bark Town so I could conquer my next region. She was also like, hey, here's a phone, by the way, so you can call and check in, unlike last time. And I'm like, sweet, thanks, Mom. I probably won't ever use it, but cool. I then explore the town and try to have a chat with some dude who's creepily peeking through the windows, but instead of talking, he just punches me in the face.
Yo, so about that phone, anybody actually use it a lot in Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal? I know I didn't.
Okay, rude. My mom told me the Professor Elm next door wanted to talk to me, so I go and visit him, and he's like, hey, new kid I've never seen before. My friend told me he made a crazy discovery, but I'm too busy to go see what it is. Will you check it out for me? I'll give you a free Pokemon. So I'm like, yeah, deal. And with that, I'm offered my next choice of starters. Another fun fact, I don't remember much from my first ever playthrough of Pokemon, but I do remember I picked Chikorita. Stupid idiot.
Totodile for me. Water's my favorite. I guess I'm a male Misty.
But honestly, Chikorita is just not a good pick for the Gen 2 games. Normally, I actually almost always pick Totodile because he's literally the epitome of perfection. But since I just had my water-type starter, I decided to go with Cyndaquil this time around. Cyndaquil is a great Pokemon, and to be totally honest, whenever I picked Cyndaquil as a kid, I usually ended up restarting the game before he had a chance to evolve into a Typhlosion, because I was an impatient child who liked to start over a lot, so I really haven't had a good team with a Typhlosion on it before. So this was my chance. I choose a Cyndaquil and I name him Pyro. Real creative, I know. Then I head out of town to go visit Mr. Pokemon and see what he's been raving about. When I arrive, Professor Oak is actually there, but I make sure to wear a disguise so he doesn't recognize me. I don't know how legal it is for political leaders to take over multiple regions, so I gotta keep a low profile for now. Anyway, Mr. Pokemon, really convenient name, gives me an egg, and Professor Oak gives me a Pokédex and is all like, here, you look like you could use this. Then once I'm outside, Professor Elm calls me on my handy-dandy new cell phone and exclaims that something terrible has happened and I need to hurry home. I don't know why he felt the need to call me, but okay. So I head back only to be met with who other than the jerk who punched me in the face. He claims that he stole a Pokemon because he wanted to, I guess, and proceeds to fight me with it. Ha! But the idiot didn't realize that I had already leveled up Pyro a bit, so it was an easy victory. And then he's all just, I let you win, by the way, here's my name, and means of identification. And then he leaves. So I go home, and Professor Elm is all upset he got robbed, and like, honestly, buddy, that guy was peeking through your windows, you really should have noticed him sooner. The cops question me on what his name was, so I tell him that his name was Curtis. Curtis is the name of a kid who was super mean to me and my friends back in elementary school, so, you know.
I really love how she's using real life names for the rivals, and there's a good reason behind it too. That's pretty cool.
And then Elm suggests that I take on the gym challenge for some reason, and I'm like, sounds good, bye. Also, my mom suggests that she save money for me, which is like, fine, but you better not spend it. She then proceeds to spend it throughout the duration of my journey. But now I'm off, on to collect and build a new powerful team to conquer the region with. On Route 29, I catch a cute little Sentra and I name her Chili, and then explore what I have access to in the Dark Cave, where I catch a Zubat named Court. It's Gen 2, I have to have a Zubat on my team. Then outside Violet City, I catch another Bellsprout, only to trade it to some kid for his Onix he named Rocky. Oh, I feel I should mention, my goal here is not to have any of the same Pokemon enter the Hall of Fame. So, for example, I can't have another Sandslash on my team when I become the champion. I have a tendency to pick favorites that I like to have in Pokemon runs, such as Crobat. This will prevent that and force me to use other Pokemon.
I thought that's why she picked Zubat, just because with it being Johto, Crobat. There you go.
So anyway, I took my Fire-type Pokemon into the Bellsprout Tower and just set fire to all of the Elder's Pokemon. When I got to the top, I watched Curtis get scolded by a little old man, and then I set fire to the old man's Pokemon as well. By the way, by this point, youngster Joey has called me 3 times already to tell me about his top percentage Rattata or whatever. I explore the ruins of Alpha a bit, and also catch a Spinnerack that I don't plan to use.
Fun little fact for me, I don't know why I loved using Spinnerack, and then after it evolved into Ariados, I absolutely kept it on the team all the way to the Elite Four, even helped with the Elite Four.
Then I finally decide to take on the first gym. My first gym leader battle is with Faulkner, the flying-type master. I use Chili the Sentra to take out his first Pidgey, then I send out Zubat against the Pidgeotto. I try to confuse it, but Supersonic misses 6 times in a row. While I'm busy missing attacks, the Pidgeotto takes out Zubat's HP and she goes down. So I send out Pyro next, and even though it's a close call with its continuous use of Mud Slap, Ember eventually takes the Pidgeotto down too. And like that, we win our first badge. The problem that I really have with the gym leaders of this game is most of them don't actually use Pokemon from their own region. Like, there's Hoot-Hoots everywhere, dude. Why are you using a Pidgey? Whatever. Anyway, after beating the gym, I get a call from Professor Elm again, asking me to take care of the Pokemon egg that I had delivered to him. So I pick it up from the aid that was in the Pokemon Center, and we move on. On Route 32, I finally get to catch another one of my favorite Pokemon, the adorable Mareep.
Which later evolves into powerful Ampharos.
I name it Butter and happily add it to the team. While on my way to Azalea Town, I get a call from Fisher Ralph saying that quillfish are biting back on Route 32. So I hurry back to try and fish one up, and I do manage to find one, but they must have a low catch rate because I actually ran out of Pokeballs while trying to get the stupid thing. Oh well, no quillfish for me then. That's fine, it's not like it's a great Pokemon to have. On my way back to Azalea Town, though, Pyro evolved into a Kalava, so that was good at least. While in town, we learn that Team Rocket is back to causing problems and are cutting off Slowpoke tails and trying to sell them.
That is gruesome. Real life Pokemon world, I don't care. That is absolutely disturbing. Cutting off an animal's tail just to sell for a profit. Whew. And then throw that into the Pokemon games. Yeah, the Pokemon games have some dark stuff in them sometimes.
Ew. So we go to the Slowpoke well, where Team Rocket is running this shady operation, and me and some old guy named Kurt give them a piece of our mind. And by that, I mean I beat up all their Pokemon while Kurt hung out by the entrance because his back hurt. After chasing off Team Rocket, I accidentally trigger another rival battle, and Curtis shows up to attack me because he thinks I'm lying about how I beat up Team Rocket, and he hucks a Ghastly at me. But thankfully I've got a Sentret, and his stupid Ghastly can't do a single thing to it. So I mud-slap the Ghastly to death, and then he sends out a Zubat, so I send out Butter to zap it to death. Butter also takes care of the Croconaw. After that whole debacle, the egg hatches into a Togepi that I named Pixie. I call Elm to let him know that his egg hatched, and he's like, oh, bring it back so I can see it. But I'm like, yeah, no, I'll do that later. The following morning, I found and caught a cute little Hoppip that I named Kitty, and added it to my team in place of the Togepi. I go into the Ilex Forest and chase around a Farfetch'd for some guy and get rewarded with the Cut HM. But I can't actually use it until I get another gym badge, so I decided it's finally time to do that. So I enter Bugsy's gym and we start our battle. He leads with Metapod and I lead with Core the Zubat, and I'm getting really sick of Supersonic continuously missing. I finally give up on trying to confuse this stupid thing and just slowly bite him to death. Kakuna comes out next and gets the exact same treatment. Last is the Scyther. Growing up, this thing actually caused me a lot of losses if it starts getting too many Fury Cutters going in a row. That's an attack that gets stronger every time you use it consecutively, but, as a kid, I didn't really know how to work around that. But now, I knew what I had to do. I ordered Core to confuse the Scyther to prevent consecutive attacks, and it missed. Of course, okay, so I just sent out Quilava, and even though the Scyther was already building up those Fury Cutters, a few Embers took it down. Well, so much for strategy.
Those Fury Cutters were nightmares to deal with.
I get my second badge, cut down the tree blocking my path in the forest, and I move on.
While in the Ilex forest, I talk to this crazy, I think, homeless dude living out here, and he gives me the TM for headbutt, so I gladly start headbutting trees to hunt for rare Pokemon. While doing that, I catch an Apom I name Finger Guns, and Butter evolves into a Flaffy. Chili also evolves into Sentret. While browsing the interwebs during this time, I actually also find out the secret to finding which headbutt trees have Heracross in them. It apparently has to do with your trainer ID number, so I put it in, find out which trees have a higher chance of dropping a Heracross, and I finally catch one. Welcome to the team, Hercules. I get through the forest and make my way through Route 34 and finally arrive in Goldenrod City, making good time, and the team is looking pretty good too.
Good luck.
At the giant Pokemart, I trade a Drowsy I caught on Route 34 for a Machop that I probably won't use, and I take part in a bug catching contest that I fail miserably at. On Route 35 I run into a Ditto, but I run out of Pokeballs again before I can catch it. I explore the underground, gamble a bit, and get a free bike that I'm supposed to advertise? Yeah, okay buddy. While I'm training up on Route 35, Kitty evolves into Skiploom, and I decide to take that as a sign we're ready for Whitney's gym. Most people who have played a Johto game know all too well the problems that Whitney is notorious for causing. Granted, most of these problems stem from children playing the game and not fully understanding battle strategy or type advantages, but even to this day, Whitney and her Miltank can invoke fear into a lot of the older Pokemon fans as well. Now, I know what some of you are going to say. Chess, you literally have a Machop that was traded to you. Just use the Machop and Whitney will be no problem.
That's exactly what I was thinking, so I'm kind of curious what's going to happen with this.
Well, listen here, bub. Machop is not part of my team, and I refuse to beat gym leaders with Pokemon that I don't want on my team. So, I'm going to do this with 0 type advantage and with my strongest Pokemon being a male, just like I always did as a kid, and you're going to deal with it. The reason Whitney is such a problem is because of her ace Pokemon Miltank. It can heal itself with Milk Drink, its Stomp can cause your Pokemon to flinch if she outspeeds you, skipping your turn. If you attack her with a Pokemon of the male gender, she can use Attract and cause your Pokemon to fall in love with the Miltank and possibly refuse to attack it. And she also has Rollout, which, like Fury Cutter, gains power with each consecutive turn. Plus, Miltank is just a bulky Pokemon in general that can tank a lot of hits. She was a nightmare to deal with as a kid. But now, I'm all grown up. I'm an adult who isn't afraid of no cow. I puffed up my chest, gathered my team, and strolled confidently into the gym. Her first Pokemon is a Clefairy, and unless it gets lucky with a powerful Metronome move, it's not much of a threat. I sent out Kitty first to poison it, and then Butter the Flaffy finished it off with Thundershock. I then sent Kitty back out to try and poison the Miltank right off the bat. And it missed. She instantly starts a Rollout, which crits Skiploom, and it goes down. Flying types are weak to rock type moves, which Rollout happens to be. The Rollout then takes out Flaffy, then it takes out Sentret, and then Zubat. I send out Hercules to use Endure, his only fighting type move, and to survive her attack, but I miscounted how many times her Rollout had hit. Rollout can only hit 5 times in a row before you have to restart, and, as I prepared for a Rollout, she went with Attract instead, luring Hercules into false promises of true love and a healthy relationship. And I knew this battle was over. Hercules and Pyro both struggled to the end, but we ended up losing the battle. Wow. To be fair, a lot of that was bad luck and bad counting on my part, so after healing everyone up, I went in for a second try, this time a little more cautious. Once again, Butter takes care of the Clefairy, no problem. But then the Miltank comes out. Butter gets off of Paralysis, which thankfully will slow the Miltank down significantly, but Butter eventually goes down to another Rollout. I sent out Chili to start using Mud Slap over and over and to continuously lower the Miltank's accuracy. It hardly does any damage, and she just heals herself back up again, but now the Miltank is slow, can miss turns due to paralysis, and her accuracy is so low there's no way a Rollout can last 5 turns again. Chili eventually gets stomped to death, but I've still got my ace. Pyro comes out and hits a headbutt and gets the flinch. I headbutt again, and a second flinch. The following turn, Miltank is fully paralyzed, and one last Ember attack takes her out. In the end, I really didn't need to use all those accuracy-lowering moves, but, better safe than sorry. I collected my badge from the sobbing Whitney and moved on.
I dump some water on the Sudowoodo, catch him, name him Bob, and throw him in the PC.
Okay, that might be the best battle I have seen against Whitney. She deserved that for everything she's put a lot of trainers through, including myself. The constant accuracy reductions, the paralysis, genius. I mean, simple, it works, but genius way to take care of that. Make sure the rollout doesn't keep going. I like it.
And finally, we've made it to Ecruteak City. I run into Bill again at the Pokemon Center. Hey, what's up, man? Accidentally gotten turned into any Pokemon recently? I then visit him at his parents' house and get the gift Eevee that I guess he accidentally stole from someone while messing with his trading machines. So I take the stolen Eevee and put it in the daycare for now. Back at Ecruteak, I take on the Kimono Girls, and once I beat them, some old man gives me the Surf HM. Nice! It also happens to be Friday at the time, so I rush over to Union Cave so I can try and catch the hidden Lapras that appears there. Only for me to get to the water's edge and realize, oh, I still need a gym badge to use this HM. So, again, I go back into town, and this time I enter the burned tower, only to get jumped by rival Curtis, but we easily dispose of him, and he retaliates by going, "What, you here to catch the legendary Pokemon? Ha, that's stupid, you're way too weak." But I just beat you. Anyway, we wake up the roaming beasts, and they take off into the wild, literally never to be seen by me again. But in the process of doing that, Core finally evolved into a Golbat.
Sweet.
After that, I go to attempt Morty's gym. He's never really been much of an issue in past playthroughs because one of my team members at this point usually knows Bite, which is great against his Ghost-type team. The addition of the Dark typing in Gen 2 is honestly so awesome. I usually actually forget that the Steel type was also added, simply because I love Dark type so much. As per usual, Golbat makes quick work of the first Ghastly and Haunter. When the Gengar comes out, Golbat does good damage, but Gengar puts her to sleep, so I switch to Furret to avoid the Gengar healing itself with Dream Eater, and end up just killing the Gengar with Mud Slap. The last Haunter also goes down to Mud Slap, and the battle's over. Easy win. Next I go left to make my way to Olivine City where I catch a Tauros, and then decide to take a little detour back to Goldenrod. The great things about these games is they're meant to be played a little bit every day, so there's certain things that can only be done on certain days of the week. Or just once a day, like the Pokemon Hair Salon. This day happened to be a Saturday, so I entered the bug catching contest a second time. This time I caught a Scyther, which is awesome, and I end up taking third place to some kid who beat me with a Venonat. How?
That sucks.
Whatever. On Route 34, I finally catch a Ditto, and I put him in the daycare as well so I can get another Eevee egg. While planning ahead for my team, I decided I would really like an Espeon, but the Eevee that Bill gave me is too high a level to learn Confusion by the time it evolves, so I'm gonna need a baby.
So, question for the people down below who are going to comment about the bug catching contest. I've read in a few different places that the position at the end of the contest, whether you win or not, has something to do with a Pokemon's HP. If anyone can verify that, I would greatly appreciate it if you'd let me know.
Back at Olivine City, I learned the gym leader's hanging out at the top of the lighthouse, so I battled my way up to the top, only to find out she's taking care of a sick Ampharos, and asks me to pick up some medicine from Cyanwood for her. I've got a tender heart, so I agree and teach Surf to my new Tauros of all things, and begin to make my way over the ocean to save the life of Butter's probably distant relative.
Tauros looks so annoying.
While on the water, I catch a Mantine that I name Nari, and decide to add her on my team in place of Kitty. Sorry, Kitty, but you just really haven't been pulling your weight here. Plus, I've never used a Mantine before. I remember as a kid, Mantine was a rare encounter, and every time I ran into one, I'd try and fail to catch it. It seemed like such a special Pokemon to have, and I don't know how it really is stat-wise, but I wanted to fulfill my childhood dream and have Nari on the team. We made it to Cyanwood, and some kid is like, "Hey, this red-haired guy stole all my Pokemon except one. Will you take care of it in case he comes back?" Sure, kid. I get the secret potion that will cure the Ampharos, but figure while I'm here, I might as well take on the gym. Chuck did used to cause a bit of problems for me as a kid, but he's not nearly as frightening as Whitney. And with Golbat taking out the Primate, and Flaffy helping with the Poliwrath, it was another badge under the belt. His white fat shames him a little bit, and then gives me the HM for Fly, but literally none of my Pokemon can use it on my team, nor in the box, so...
Hold on, I never even noticed that. Golbat can't learn Fly? Huh. And it's a bat. Alright. I don't know how that would make sense, but okay, we'll go with it.
Oh, looks like I'm surfing back. I cure the Ampharos, and Jasmine goes back to her gym, but I don't feel ready to take her on quite yet. Again, she gave me a lot of trouble as a kid. Now that I think about it, I was a pretty garbage Pokemon player as a child. I did not know my type advantages at all. But anyway, I decided to put the Steel-type badge on the back burner for now, and instead travel to Mahogany Town and the Lake of Rage. Ah, back when you could do the gyms out of order if you wanted. While on Route 43, I caught a Girafarig and named him Doppio, and then I captured the red Gyarados that was on a rampage at the lake, and Lance, who also doesn't seem to recognize me for some reason, is like, "Hey, you're pretty tough. Team Rocket seems to be causing trouble again, so why don't you help me mess up their plans?" And I'm like, "Sounds good, Poppy." So we go back into town, break into the building with the secret stairs in it, and I watch Lance literally murder a man with his Dragonite. Then we break into the ninja hideout and beat up everyone inside. Lance said we should split up to find the passwords to get into the boss room, but he turns out to be no help whatsoever, and I have to find both the passwords by myself. But while I'm doing that, both Butter and Core evolve into their third stage evolutions, which is great for me. With an Ampharos and a Crobat now on the team, no one down here stood a chance. After throttling Team Rocket's plans, I decide to take on Price, the Ice Gym leader in Mahogany Town. But Quilava and Butter make quick work of his team. He didn't stand much of a chance, but hey, at least the poor guy had enough sense to use a Johto Pokemon in a Johto region gym. Since I can't move forward from here, I make my way back to Olivine. But on the way I stop by the daycare to pick up the Eevee egg, and while waiting for it to hatch, I begin to have a change of heart. My original plan obviously was to try and evolve the baby Eevee into a low-leveled Espeon so I can get all the level-up Psychic-type moves, but honestly, raising the happiness in these games would just take too long at this point, and or too much money. So I changed my mind, gave the stolen Eevee back her baby, and instead opted to put the newly caught Girafarig on my team. Now I felt I was ready to take on Jasmine, so I stepped into her gym, pushed away all the flashbacks from all the times she beat me to death when I was a child, and sent out Pyro, and he single-handedly wiped out her entire team. Wow, guess I really overestimated you. It's not like I was over-leveled either. This level drag in the game is very real. Between gyms 3 and 6, it feels like you barely level up at all because all the levels of the trainer battles and the wild Pokemon are laughably low. But despite all that, Pyro was the MVP of that fight, and he deserved all the praise for it. Once I left the gym, Professor Elm calls me in a panic again, saying that there was something weird on the radio. The radio keeps saying how Team Rocket has made their return and stuff. What do you think it means? Probably that Team Rocket is making a return? Huh. Well, it's probably nothing. See ya. So I go back to Goldenrod to liberate the radio tower that Team Rocket had taken over in a desperate final attempt to reach out and find Giovanni. When I get to the top, the leader tells me that they hid the radio director in the basement, so I go to rescue him. And while doing that, Curtis interrupts me again and wants to fight. So I use Doppio to take out the Golbat, Quilava takes out his Magnemite and his Sneasel, Ampharos takes out the Feraligatr, and Crobat takes out Haunter. Once I win, he throws a bit of a temper tantrum over the fact that he can't seem to beat me, and then runs away with his tail between his legs. After that whole debacle, Pyro and I save the director, get his card key, and go back up to the top of the radio tower to beat up the Team Rocket admin. He then disbands Team Rocket again, just like Giovanni did before him, and all is well once again. After that's over, I take the ice path where Quilava finally evolved into a beautiful Typhlosion and arrive in Blackthorn City. I train up the team a bit more on the Gravelers that hang out on Route 45, then decide that even though I'm still a bit underleveled, I want to try the final gym. The Claire battle, again, was always rough as a kid, but this time was actually rough as well. The battle starts with Nari versus Dragonair, and I miss an Icy Wind. Great sign. She instantly paralyzes me, and I miss another Icy Wind. I heal up and try again, and miss again. On my fourth try, I finally hit it and take out the Dragonair. She sends out her second one, and I decide to switch to Heracross for a while.
So, has the accuracy for Icy Wind changed over time? Because I used it back in Sun and Moon, and I had no problem hitting it. I missed it maybe, I don't know, 3-4 times the entire playthrough, and I used it a lot. I don't know why, but I used it a lot.
I use Detect to avoid her Thunder Wave, only to miss a takedown. Ugh, finally I switch to Pyro and use Return to take out her second and third Dragonairs. Finally, Kingdra makes his appearance. I send out Butter to tank a Surf and paralyze it. I then use Attract to try and stop it from landing another hit, but Kingdra apparently has no interest in love and kills me anyway. Next, I send out Core to confuse it and get off some bites. It does end up hitting itself in confusion, and I even get a flinch with Bite, but Claire uses her Hyper Potion, and it breaks out of confusion to kill the Crobat with another Surf. I send out Doppio, who originally was just going to be a pivot for me to heal up Butter, but for some reason the Kingdra just kept using Smokescreen over and over, and eventually Confusion took it down. Honestly, those Smokescreens would have made much more sense at the beginning of the battle with how much I was missing, but whatever, I still won. But Claire is a sore loser and refuses to give me a badge until I go into the Dragon Den behind her gym and pick up a Dragon Fang, for some reason. Honestly, I can see why that got adjusted in the newer games. But with my final gym badge in hand, I am now ready to take on the Elite Four once again. This time to take my place as the champion of Johto. Oh, also, Elm gives me the Master Ball, and I go to capture the Ho-Oh, but honestly, I don't want to replace Pyro, and I don't need 2 fire types, so sorry, Big Rainbow Bird. Into the PC you go. The victory road here is super easy. There's no trainers in the cave for you to battle until the very end when your rival interrupts you once again. Curtis launched his final surprise attack, but Doppio with Shadow Ball was actually the MVP on the team this time, taking out the Haunter, the Golbat, and the Kadabra all in a row. Great work, buddy. Once I've beaten Curtis for the last time, he actually shows some character development by acknowledging he might not be the best trainer and reluctantly tells me to keep at it. Aw, you little tsundere, you. Once outside the cave, it's just me and the final challenge of this Pokemon journey all in one building. But my team is ready and rearing to go, so I take my step forward and we face the Elite Four.
That is a really good and diverse team to take with you to the Elite Four, and for the entire playthrough of the game.
First up is Psychic Trainer Will. His first Xatu goes down pretty easily with Butter's Thunder Punches, as does the Slowbro. Jinx is no match for Pyro, and neither is Exeggutor. I decide to use Doppio on the last Xatu to get him some more experience, and Shadow Ball once again leaves us victorious. The first battle was pretty easy, and with that, we move on. Next up is Koga, the Poison Gym leader back in Kanto. Guess he got a promotion. Not sure why, but whatever. I took him down once already, and we can easily do it again. Doppio takes out the Ariados and the Muck. However, Muck is quite the tank, and it took a while to actually take him down. After that, I switch to Pyro for the Fortress and Venomoth, and I send out Butter to take out the Crobat. Our speeds end up being tied, so we take turns hitting first. I really should have just paralyzed it right away. It builds up some double teams, and also poisons Butter, but eventually Thunder Punch takes him down too. Second win. Third up is Bruno again. He was no issue last time, but this time he actually gave us a bit of an annoying fight. Hitmontop and Core were out first, and I figured Fly would give us an easy win, but he was actually smart enough to use Detect on each turn that Fly was supposed to hit. So I decided to try to confuse the Hitmontop and then try using Fly again, but he just breaks out of the confusion. I try to switch into Doppio for a while and kill with Psychic type attacks, but the Hitmontop switches to using Dig, which actually does pretty good damage. So I just switched back into Crobat and slowly bit the stupid thing to death. He couldn't actually damage Core very much, just using Quick Attack over and over, but man was it an annoying time. Nari easily takes out the Onix, and next is Hitmonchan. Core comes back out, and this time Fly actually hits and kills it. After that is Machamp, which Fly also does good damage to, but the Machamp hits a Rock Slide and Core goes down. So I send out Doppio again to get the kill. Last is Hitmonlee, and even though Doppio does good damage and also confuses it, we end up going down to a high jump kick. So I send out Hercules, but the Hitmonlee ends up hitting itself in confusion and knocking itself out, so that's another win for us. Go team! The last of the Elite Four is Dark-type trainer Karen, but unlike the modern-day Karens, she is the manager here. Sorry, bad joke. Anyway, I guess Agatha died or something, because she isn't here anymore. But Karen's more of a threat anyway. She leads with her bulky Umbreon, and I led with Hercules. I try to get a Fury Cutter started to hopefully wipe out the entire team, but she starts using Sand Attack, so there goes that plan. He also uses Confuse Ray on Hercules, so that made it even worse. Eventually, Hercules takes the Umbreon out with Takedown, but when her Vileplume comes out, I switch to Pyro, who takes care of it easily. Doppio deals with the Gengar, and I keep him out to take out the Murkrow as well, but one feint attack actually kills him. Whoops. Butter finishes the job with Thunder Punch, and last is Nari vs. Houndoom. His Crunch attack does a lot of damage, but in the end he couldn't survive more than 2 Surfs. So that's the last win for the Elite Four. Karen goes off on how weak or strong Pokemon don't really matter, and in the end you should just try to win with your favorites, and I'm like, you right girl, you're a good Karen. And with that, I step into the champions room. The Dragon Trainer Lance, who honestly should be in jail for murder. I guess he got promoted to champion after I left Kanto. The fool. Well, I'm here to take back my title, but this time with my Johto team. The battle begins and he leads with Gyarados and I lead with Butter. He starts up a Rain Dance, which is honestly fine because I one-hit KO with Thunder Punch. Next out is a Dragonite. We both paralyze each other and begin the struggle to actually land a move. Butter manages to get off 3 Thunder Punches, but it just isn't enough, and we go down to a crit Hyper Beam. Again. This is starting to feel kind of familiar. I send out Crobat to quickly finish it off with a Bite. The next Dragonite comes out, and I switch in Pyro, but end up getting frozen in a blizzard. Ugh. Another Hyper Beam kills Pyro, so I switch to Nari next. We actually successfully hit an Icy Wind this time while it's recharging, and that also lowers the Dragonite's speed. This gives us another free hit for a second Icy Wind to kill it. Next is the Aerodactyl, which goes down to a healed up Butter. But when the final and strongest Dragonite comes out, we just go down to another Hyper Beam. Good heavens, man, get a wider move pool. I send out Nari again to try and pull the same trick and hit an Icy Wind while he's recharging, and it works. The speed goes down, giving us a free first hit, but that just doesn't quite kill it. He hits another Hyper Beam, but Nari actually clutches it and survives on 7 HP, so one more Icy Wind takes it down. Nice going, Nari. Last is Charizard, so I use a Hyper Potion on Nari, survive another Hyper Beam, and kill it with Surf. Man, Nari really carried that battle, and thanks to her, we've won. I took the title of champion for the second time in the same league, but for 2 separate regions. My conquest continues. We enter the Hall of Fame once again, and my journey through Johto comes to a close. For now, anyway. I know there's a big post-game afterwards, and the true final battle, but for this challenge at least, I'm really just playing until we become the champion. Maybe in the future, if we get lots of views, I'll come back and finish the second part of the game, but for now, it's time to move on. My journey through Johto was honestly just as fun as I remember from growing up. I'm glad I got the chance to change up my team a bit and use some Pokemon I had never used before, such as a Mantine, who really saved the team a lot of the time. Girafarig was good too. I know he's considered a super forgettable Pokemon, and not the best stat-wise, but I enjoyed using him. Heracross was a cool one too that I was never able to find as a kid, but honestly, I really didn't use him much. I wish he had a better move pool in these games. Typhlosion was also a really great starter to have. I have an Ampharos and a Crobat in almost all of my Johto playthroughs, and for good reason. They're great team members. I really love the second gen games, and I hope you all really liked seeing my challenge progress so far. Thanks for watching. Next, we'll be covering my Conquest of Hoenn, so please subscribe so you know when it comes out. Until then.
Alright, so that was pretty fun to watch. That brought back some memories, of course. Johto playthroughs, yo man, I remember going through Ecruteak City. My thing was using the Togepi, the metronome. There was, let's see, it hit 2 moves that surprised me, and then later on I figured out what they were. I was like, whoa. It was in one battle. Togepi ended up using Aeroblast and Sacred Fire from metronome. Now, that was fun. So anyway, I really enjoyed her video. You guys could go like and subscribe to ft.chesnutkc, and also leave a like and comment down below on my video, and make sure you subscribe as well. Greatly appreciate it. And I'll also have another YouTube channel, Modunish. I use that for other things such as reaction videos to Family Guy, South Park. I'm also into politics, so if you're into that sort of thing, check that out too. Alright, thanks guys, you have a wonderful evening, and here's a word from our sponsor. Unofficially.
Bigga, bigga, pico, bigga, pika, pika, pika.